Hăīre, φίλε, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 4, taking a look at verse 12. Here is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. Me sub medzon e tu patros hemon Jacob, hos edoken hemin to frere, kai autos ex autu epean, kai hoi huioi autu, kai ta thremata autu? That was a long question. All right, we see me as our first word, and since the editors of the Greek text, the Nestle-Aland people, think that there's a question, then we know that this is going to be a question that expects a negative answer. In Greek, whenever you have a question with me in it, then we know negative. And if we don't have me, or if we have u instead, I think that is when we have a question expecting a positive answer. So Paul, in a very important text for some people, or an important text for people to pay attention to, Paul uses this, and the English doesn't translate it ever. It's stupid. So, me sum medzon e. Now, initially, we might think to ourselves that this is the same as if from previously. But note that we've got the circumflex over it. That little accent right there actually tells us what this is. It's not a particle, meaning if. Instead, this is from eimi. So we've got the second person singular present tense, active and indicative. Eimi, a, esten, and so on. So, you are what? Well, here we have medzon with our omega nu right there. This is an adjective. This comes, I forget what the positive form of this, but this is a comparative. So it's nominative, singular, masculine. And taking a look at this, we use com for comparative. Comparative. Su is the emphatic because we already have it in a right there, but this is, of course, nominative, singular. And may, if we want to make this expecting a negative answer, surely you're not. Yes, surely you are not. You are not greater. And then with comparatives, we use they use the genitive for the thing being compared to. So that's why tu patros is in genitive singular. Greater of the what? Greater than the what? I think there's a way to do it in the nominative, but I don't remember how Greek sets it up. If there's another word that a Greek needs, Latin just needs quam. Greater than hemon tu patros. So we have omega nu right there. So this is going to be a genitive plural, not singular. And it has no gender because they share the gender. So this is owning tu patru. It's not the thing being compared to, since it's following tu patru. Normally the genitive, the possessive genitive, will follow the thing it owns, but not always, as is always the case. So, greater than, not greater than, our. I put an underline in there, an emphasis. Father, indeclinable. Jacob, and Jacob's just going to be genitive again as a predicate for tu patris, hence no article right there. Greater than our father, Jacob. Do you remember the history of the Samaritans? If not, I will try to remember to go through it very, very quickly at the end of the video, if you're interested. So, Father Jacob. Hos, this is from hos, he, ho, the relative pronoun. Who, nominative singular masculine. Edoken, augmenting vowel right there. Kappa right there, as we saw before. And epsilon nu, since we've already parsed it, don't need to do it again. Who, aorist tense, gave. Haming, that iota with the circumflex tells us that this is a dative plural. Gave to us. To frere, we saw this previously. To there goes with it, reminding us that it's neuter and accusative. The well. The particular one that we are standing in front of right now, or the pit. And autos, omicron sigma, our subject. He himself, we might say, and he, just referring back to Jacob. Ex autou, ex takes the genitive in its object, which we see with the omicron upsilon there. The verb, so a prepositional phrase ends, singular and neuter, because frear is neuter. From it, epien, augmenting vowel, iota, epsilon nu as our ending, third, singular, aorist tense, active and indicative. Or is it aorist tense? So it's pino, epinon. Epinon would be the imperfect. So if we have the nu between the iota and the epsilon, then we would know that it's actually imperfect. So you see, I would have expected an imperfect from this to say that he didn't just drink from it once, but he drank from it and continued to drink from it. But that's not really necessary. Drink, and he from it drank, kai, and hoi huioi, omicron iota there with this, nominative, plural, masculine, and autou, already seen that, no need to parse again, his particular sons, kai, and ta. With that alpha right there, we know this is going to be plural neuter. Now, whether it's nominative or accusative, we don't know without looking ahead. There's no further verb, it's just autou, no need to parse that one. So then thremata is also using epien as huioi used epien, though it's an assumed verb. Here we have the singular, so it goes particularly with autos. And the kai is just saying, yeah, and same action, plural subject. Same action, nominative, plural, neuter, subject. And, not the, his, because of autou. Oops, sorry. And his domesticated animals. Why domesticated? How is that part of this word? I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember the word for wild animal. And it starts with a theta, and there's a rho in it, I believe. But it's gone. Not there. It's not door, thura. It's not thelu. I don't remember. Sorry. Well, there's that. That's the end of verse 12. Let's take a look at it in its own context. And, question mark. It's a pretty long way to put the question mark. All right. Surely you are not greater than our father Jacob, who gave to us the well, and he drank from it, and his sons, and his domesticated animals? Well, yeah. Verse 7. A woman comes from Samaria to draw water. The Jesus says to her, "Give to me to drink." For the disciples of him had gone into the city in order to buy victuals. She says therefore to him, the woman, the Samaritan one, "How do you, being a Jew, ask from me to drink, although I am a Samaritan woman? For Jews do not have dealings with Samaritans." No, indeed. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you had known the gift of the God and who it is, the one saying to you, 'Give to me to drink,' you would ask him, and he would give to you living water." But the woman says to him, "Lord, you do not indeed have bucket, and the well is deep. From where, therefore, do you have the water, the living water? Surely you are not greater than our father Jacob, who gave to us the well, and he drank from it, and his sons, and his domesticated animals." And there we have it. So, if you do not know the history of the Samaritans, I'm going to give you a very quick, very brief synopsis of it. During the Babylonian captivity of the Jews, the majority of the Jews were removed from Israel, or the majority of the survivors, but many of them stayed behind. Some stayed in Jerusalem, some out in the country. And the policy of the Babylonians was to take the peoples from their homelands and transplant them somewhere else so that they would be less inclined to rebel, because they're no longer fighting for their own homeland. They're moved to a new homeland where it's strange and they don't have allies because the people don't sound the same or don't speak the same language. So then you have a whole bunch of pagans living in Canaan with the the remaining Jews and other Israelites that survived. And what happens is these pagans bring in their pagan gods and their pagan rituals, and the Jews start intermarrying with them. And then we have the creation of these hybrids. They would have been considered half-castes, or really worse than half-castes. The Greeks and the Romans were bad enough for them, but the Samaritans were not just pagan themselves now, but a reminder of the Babylonian captivity, of the humiliation of Israel when God rejected them for rejecting him. And then here they are, and they too are technically children of Jacob. And some of them will worship at the worship places set up by, no, that's the Greek guy. Set up by the rebel who fought against Rehoboam. What is his name? Well, anyway, there was a temple. There were 2 temples that guy built, and to replace the worship at Jerusalem. And so the Samaritans might go worship, I think, Dan, and I don't remember where the other one is, or they might just be outright pagans. And so the Samaritans, some of them thought that they were the proper line of Jacob, and so that the promise would come through them. Many of them, as we see in the gospel, still believed in the coming Messiah, which is wonderful, but they believed that it would come through them, or at least that they were the center, and that the Jews who'd been cast out of the lands were the ones fully rejected by God. These people got to keep the land. And so there's kind of a blood feud between the two peoples, and they hate each other, which we can see from the story of the Good Samaritan, from this woman at the well, from the woman who's begging for Jesus to heal her child, and he says that it is not right to give food to the dogs, but she says even the dogs may lick up the crumbs from the master's table. And just any time the Samaritans come along, it's very, very interesting. I think there's like one instance where there's I should say possibly rather than very, but possibly negative light shown on them, and that's shortly before Jesus returns to Jerusalem to die. Well, I hope that was quick enough history for you, and I thank you very much for joining me. Have a very good week. Farewell.
What? You're still awake? Why are you still here then? You should be reading a book. Or if not reading, you should watch one of these other videos. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. See you next week.